Okay, hello and welcome to episode 12 of Simon Talks Life. It's a good time for me. In this episode, I will be talking about favourite foods while unboxing another box of Series 3. It's a bit sad when you think about it that as a being, as a species, we tend to take so much pleasure in the consumption of obviously food, which is meant to just sustain us. It says something about sort of where we are, I think, really, as a species, that we sort of do that. I didn't want to. It wasn't a tangent I wanted to get on, if I'm being honest. But I'll be going through the working day, sort of thinking, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? And that's kind of a bit sad, isn't it? Really, it's not. I don't think it's somewhere we should really be. That's kind of a separate episode though, really, obviously. And again, it's another one of those very subjective, another one of those, I didn't actually realise this until then, it's got like a drawer thing, but yeah, first time I've ever noticed, so brilliant. What was the saying? I forget really. Look, it is a bit kind of a bit sad that we draw, but it's very subjective. Obviously the whole thing with some people like some foods, some people like other foods. Again, there's, I suppose, no right and wrong really. You like what you like, really. But this obviously, if you want, let me know in the comments what your favourite foods are. No right and wrong, mate, no right and wrong. That can go to one side. So, what you might not know about the Cybertronian jackpot chaser is, well, my favourite food is, it's the potato. The potato is damn near a religion for me, really. So, okay, I've got a special card already. Excuse me. This is probably, I think it might be an MR based on what I saw. It is, and that's Ironhide. I am noticing, I'll be honest, that when I get cards from the same vendor, I tend to find a lot of duplicates in those cards. Like, I bought this from the same store that I bought the other set of cards just recently, and that had an Ironhide as well, and I hadn't had an Ironhide up until then. You wouldn't really think that'd be the case, but it is what it is. So I tend to like potato, right? Like, it's honestly, the potato, you can't touch it, right? You've got, what can it do? Mash, roast, chips, crisps, you might say, potato cakes, all that. It's a complete game. You can't touch it. Nothing else has that kind of versatility. So the potato is like a religion for me, really. I even took to growing them a little bit. I'll be honest, but I'm not really good at that side of thing, if I'm being honest. If anyone's watching and you happen to have gotten into growing vegetables or something like that, because I've been growing potato in pots. Let me know what you think would be something good to grow in those pots during the off season, because I can only really grow it for like half of the time in the year, really, because here in Australia it's just too warm. Anything from about maybe October to April is really just too warm for you to be growing sort of spuds out here. But obviously, when you grow sort of things like, I didn't really want to go off in that kind of tangent. When you grow things in the same thing in the same soil for a while, even though you might try to refertilise the soil, when you grow something like the spud, the potato, and you keep growing it, it takes something out of the soil. So you kind of want to grow something during that off season to put it back in. Anyway, so my favourite food is obviously something that includes the potato as a recipe, and I would probably say shepherd's pie. Oh, lovely. Shepherd's pie is, I've got a UI, I've obviously got a UI here. It's either Skywarp or Shockwave, I'd say. That is Skywarp. I don't want to be getting the same cards from the same batches of boxes all the time, you know. I think if you want to get a variety when it comes to buying these cards, you're better off changing up the stores that you're buying them from. You know, it's kind of sad, but I think there's some real truth to that. You know, it's like they haven't been given a really good shuffle. Anyway, so my favourite food is shepherd's pie. Obviously, like I like a good Sunday roast. You know, either pork or lamb. Really, pork's good for crackling. Lamb, it's a bit barbaric, mate. You know. But that's nice. Like I like cooking a pasta bake. I like a lasagna. All of that stuff. Obviously, okay. I've got an AR coming here. I like the AR. I've got another cup. I'm not happy to have another cup. That's the first duplicate cup that I've got. Cup was the last AR that I was chasing, and I got one back in an earlier episode of Simon Talks Life. So nice to have another one. I like the AR. As you know, it screams 86. Yeah, pizza is obviously a very nice food as well. I tend to be a a lot of people are. So, if I was going to ask you about pizza, I'd say, what would be the question you'd ask if you were talking to someone about pizza? Well, pineapple, yes or no? Right, now, I'm a yes man when it comes to pineapple on pizza. I can go without it. Like if I get a good barbecue meat lovers, I'm happy to have one of those without pineapple. But sometimes if we get takeout, I'll often deliberately shoot for one of the pizzas at our local that has pineapple in it. They do a good chicken one, and it's got pineapple as well. Goes down pretty good, you know. But I mean, look, who doesn't like pizza, right? You know. Obviously, there are other things like a good kebab is nice. All of that sort of stuff. I'm in a bit of trouble getting these ones out. That's fine. That's okay. This is also one of the special cards. I do like the reveal. Oh, no way. That's another BP of cheetah. That is another case level hit of cheetah, which is exactly the same as the case level hit I got. Again, like it's nice. It's a BP. But I would have not wanted to get cheetah again if I'm being honest. I really wouldn't. I mean, I'm not complaining, but look, I've got the other one over here. It's very likely I'm going to end up actually therefore getting both of these graded. You know, but I wouldn't really have opted to get one again if I could. I think I mentioned it before, but these might be the only cards that I'll get graded that I might seriously consider selling, put on eBay or something, because Beast Wars just, as you know, isn't my jam really. I'll get you to one side for now. So it's very likely I'll add that one to get graded. You know, nice to have it. I mean, the BP, I just would have preferred a different one, but that's obviously the odds you take, the risk you take, isn't it? Really. As far as this box goes, I'm obviously only going to get one more special card, and it's obviously going to be a UR. So there's not going to be too much of a discussion on the cards for the rest of this episode anyway. That's a bit disappointing, really. Honestly, I might be the only person who ever pulled a BP and was disappointed. You know, it's not what I would have wished for. Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about food. You know, I love talking about food. You know. Again, though, like I said, it is kind of sad as a species that we tend to get so much joy, so much pleasure in the consumption of food when you need to really be thinking of it as nourishment, you know. But by the same token, I recognise why as a species we do that, because we're not a free species, are we really? I mean, it's not really the direction I wanted to take the conversation, but I've said it before, to people where I'm like, you know, it should make sense that obviously the people want to eat, the slaves want to eat burgers in their cells. Love a good burger too. Of course they would. Why wouldn't they? You know. But yeah, anything around the potato really is sort of number one for me. I mean, look, I like a lot of things. I like Chinese. I like Indian. All of that sort of stuff as well. Fish and chips is nice, but the funny thing with fish and chip shops is that really good ones are, I feel, sort of particularly rare. Really, like I feel like there's a more consistent level of a consistent standard between all of the average sort of Chinese shops that you get, for example. And I love Chinese, obviously, like barbecue king prawn, you know, satay chicken, sweet and sour pork, boneless lemon chicken, all of that sort of stuff. Lovely. This is not. No, it's not. Lovely, really. You know, it's not difficult. Me basing a whole episode talking about food. You get fucking, you know. It's the sort of thing where you get kind of hungry even just thinking about it. I've actually got a curry for later today. Okay, this is obviously. It might actually be another UR of Hot Rod with of Rodimus with it is Rodimus with the Matrix. I have a number of these, and I could see me getting at least 3 or 4 of them graded. Potentially, maybe so. But I don't really want to be getting don't get the BP's nice and all, but the problem with the BP is because now I know I've got one, I can reasonably expect not to get another one in the remaining boxes that I've got, which is a bit of a disappointment, really. You know, I wouldn't have opted for that, really. So look, you know, it wouldn't be cheap. I'm not going to bullshit you up, but if you happen to be a fan of Beast Laws and you wouldn't mind the case level hit of from Series 3, hit me up, you know. I would rather sell to people who are in Australia, I'll be honest, but I'm happy to entertain, you know, whatever will be, right? But yeah, my favourite food would be the shepherd's pie, you know. Get a layer of cheese on top before it goes into the oven. Beautiful. This really hasn't been difficult, you know. Alright, thanks for watching. This has been episode 12 of Simon Talks Life, where I was talking about favourite foods. See you soon for episode 13.